My mom is very close to my sister. Like, and for so long, my narrative in my head was like, my mom just loves my sister more. She never really loved me. And that was
Mm-hmm.
like the narrative, right, for me that built some resiliency. And then one time, this woman I used to go to called Master P was like, well, what if the narrative is actually that, like, parents sometimes have different relationships with different kids? So what if
Mm-hmm.
she just was closer, you know what I mean, to your sister than you, that it was never about love? And it was such an unlock for me in
Mm-hmm.
my way of like interpreting our relationship. And it was a shift because shockingly, there is some strength that comes in from believing that as a child, maybe you were loved differently or not as much or not enough. Then from
Mm-hmm.
thinking, just like I'm a mom of two kids today and have two very different relationships, then maybe that's the reality.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time. The most common question I get on my book tour is, well, how do I reconcile a relationship with my sibling now that we are adults and we haven't really been close because either we both had different narratives of each other or there's resentment of how our parents treated us differently. And oftentimes, my advice to people who want to heal sibling relationships is how do you show curiosity? How do you show curiosity to your parents if they're still alive about the relationship they had with the other sibling? And how do you show curiosity to your sibling and say, what were they like for you? We all have different parents because even if you have the same people who were your parents, they are different people at different points in their lives, just like you and I are. And so my parents were the post two-time immigration parents who were navigating a new cultural system in America. My dad was dealing with visa stuff, right? There's different things than my siblings who were born in India and then grew up for a few years in London and then came to America. And we talk all the time about how our parents were just different people. And so showing curiosity is the number one way to reframe some of those stories. And I'm a narrative therapist. So my work with my clients is all about helping people identify the stories they're holding and where those stories come from
Yeah.
about themselves, but about their loved ones. And oftentimes, like you said, we are reinforcing a story about ourselves or about someone else without actually interrogating if that story needs to actually stay constant or maintain itself.